A 2,000-year-old monastery built inside a cave, reached by dangerous and difficult mountain paths. Lucky for me, this time I'm not alone on these trails to Phuktal. There are a couple of options available to reach Phuktal. The preferred option is through Kalbok. This is a longer but safer path. But for an interesting and rarely chosen route is crossing the bridge at Char village and then going to Phuktal along the riverside of the Tsaruk valley, high above the river. I take the latter route because it is the closest to Char village. So on this route I can get directly from the village to Phuktal without a detour. It is precipitous and narrow, and might be challenging for some trekkers, but it's probably no more difficult than the route towards the Stonk Pass ahead. The trail climbs steadily, which can be exhausting at this altitude, and then suddenly drops. I was so far behind my companions here that they had already disappeared from my field of vision. A couple of hours later the Gompa appears afar. Also, there is no guest house or hotels in Phuktal. There's no internet and mobile service. Apart from the fact that you cannot get here by any means of transport due to the complete lack of infrastructure, the place is severely non-commercial. The place doesn't boast of too many eateries. However, the monks help tourists with the meals. The Phuktal Monastery is built around a natural cave, which is believed to have been visited by numerous sages, scholars, translators, and monks around 2,550 years ago. According to some legends, Jesus and Buddha also visited this place. The remote location of the monastery was ideal for monks, looking for peace and solitude to meditate. Believed to be one of the earliest residents of the cave are the 16 Arhats, or the legendary followers of Buddha. There is a stone abbot which serves as a reminder of the stay of Alexander Xoma de Croz at Phuktal while he worked on the first English-Tibetan dictionary between 1826 and 1827 when he explored Ladakh. Upon our arrival, some monks welcomed us for lunch. Phuktal is one of the, if not the most isolated, monasteries of Zanskar. It is today an active monastery where approximately 39 young monks, ranging from the age of 5 to 20, are taught the ways of Buddhism by senior lamas and monks. As it turned out, I was accommodated in the house of a young monk apprentice. This house is a bit further from the main building complex where I am heading now. Ab Bleichsteiner, an excellent connoisseur of Lamism, writes in his work that the monks who enter the monastery do not get a free apartment, but have to purchase ownership of a house or room. The Phuktal Monastery is built on a mountainside that rises almost perpendicularly. In such terrain conditions, it is not possible to build a building that can house all lamas. Smaller and larger houses and huts are spread out on small terraced outcrops of the cliff wall, quite irregularly, on top of each other, as the hill's topography allows. The The terrace of some cottages, from which you can reach the door, is also the roof of the house below. Massive stone steps lead up to these terraces. Hundreds of roof balconies lean directly against the cliff wall, and these include small rectangular cave niches that can be accessed from the roof. This is the entrance to the common kitchen. The ceiling of the cave was taken over by birds and bats. And here is the gompa itself. The monks prepare the dinner together as part of a team effort. The mood is very good. Working together unites the members into a true community. Dinner will be momo. This steamed stuffed pasta, called mantu in Central Asia and Xinjiang, and dim sum in Southeast China, is a widespread and popular dish in Ladakh as well. The filling is optional. Here in Ladakh at this time of the year it is stuffed with meat, more precisely with mutton. Here in Phuktal meat is not served and eaten at all. Instead they prefer the soy. Shared meals and preparing food together also have sacred significance. Something just occurred to me about this, which I will tell you now. This is more of a philosophical realization, but perhaps it also fits this situation. Human is the only species on the globe that shares food with its fellows, what's more, with even other species. It is difficult to find such a universal phenomenon, which would be as common in space and time regardless of culture since the beginning of history, as eating together. Wherever I go in the world, this characterizes people everywhere, regardless of language, religion, culture, skin color, gender, or age. It is not an exaggeration to say that human civilization was born at a common lunch or dinner, as without it the social being of the human race would be unimaginable. This is especially remarkable because these people, despite the fact that they have just seen me for the first time in their lives, and perhaps for the last time, share their dinner with me without prejudice. This is again the example of empathy, compassion that was born with human nature, what I experienced all around the world. The similarity is bigger between two humans than the difference between two warring nations. This is my first and last supper that I eat together with the monks on this giant stone terrace. But ain't the last meal. Tomorrow we still will come together for the common breakfast and lunch. But the vast majority of monks are going to leave Phuktal tomorrow afternoon, and they won't return until the end of next January. Most of them go back to their native villages to their families, and spend a long and cold winter there. Good morning, Phuktal. A horn sounds to signal the call for a communal breakfast. Standing here and admiring the majestic scenery, I am reminded of a quote I read in a paragliding manual, but it could also be a philosophical insight. The quote goes like this: "Whoever has seen the world from a bird's eye view will never be willing to see it again from a frog's perspective." And indeed, this one experience would be enough for the most of us, for the entire life to never be corrupted by the world dominated by malevolence and narrow-mindedness. Give your thoughts wings, and you're gonna lose control over them. The young Lama apprentices now play with the greatest joy, but by the end of the day the monastery is completely empty, and silence descends on the stone terraces for a month. In most of the settlements of Ladakh, the series of celebrations which, like in the Western calendar, are part of the New Year's round, have begun. Most people spend the New Year in their village, and the beginning of the series of celebrations coincides with the Western Christmas season. The whole community prepares for breakfast, which would not be complete without chanting sacred texts. The nights here are pitch black, as much as you can't even see up to your nose. In Ladakh, the toilets are usually in stone huts outside the houses, which can only be accessed from the outside, and it is no different here in Phuktal either. During the night, the presence of a flashlight is therefore a matter of survival, because one careless step is enough, and the unwary visitor can easily find himself in the Tsarab river. Which is not a fun, especially in winter time. I have already mentioned the toilets here, and there is a reason why they are called dry toilets. The water here is too precious to be used for ablution. When I asked for water for this purpose, I didn't get it, only for drinking. The monks just laugh and say there is only a dry toilet. In any case, the water is frozen outside the thermos, but inside it is almost boiling, not suitable for bathing anyways. This is also one of those challenges that is difficult to imagine outside of Ladakh. The hierarchy is also manifested in the seating order. I'm an outsider, so I have a seat in a secluded area. The place for the guests is always behind the seating order of the monks, shaping the horseshoe, close to the wall. Children sit at the edges, but still in a circle. The inside of the circle receives the hot, salty, buttery tea first. This tea is not so much a drink as a food, much like the Tata tea in Indonesia, which is more like a soup in our terms. The head lama sits in a privileged place, and he, like me, receives a separate portion of everything, either at the first or the last serving. This meal is more ritualistic than yesterday's dinner. Cereal groats are poured or sprinkled into the already mentioned tea, which forms a mass from which dumplings are formed. This is a popular dish in Tibet that is usually eaten for breakfast and is called champa. The soliloquy lasts until late morning here on the stone terrace, which is the last one this year. Today, most people are packing, preparing for the long journey and the winter break. Only a few people will stay here for tonight. I will definitely spend another night here, and then tomorrow morning I will go back to Char village, on the way I came here, but this time alone, without an attendant. Based on my experience so far, I don't expect it to be an easy journey, but now I have plenty of time. Now I will visit the suspension bridge, which is close to here, but the path that led to it is trying, like everything here. The bridge is within sight from here. I go there. I arrived after a quarter-hour walk, or rather a climb. This bridge seems to be newly built, as indicated by the wire that weaves through it. The bridge's materials also seem to be relatively new. I'd rather miss the crossing now. I just got back in time for lunch, which is usually early afternoon in Zanskar. Phuktal is not electrified. The only source of energy is provided by solar panels. But it also only supplies some electricity in the late afternoon and early evening. While there is no entry fee to the monastery, you can donate whatever you want to the monastery fund. Life is hard for the monks, especially during the cold winters, when the heavy snowfall and low temperatures isolate them further. The limited means of subsistence and the monastery's inaccessibility makes the monks dependent on outside supply for everything, be it food, equipment, modern medicine and also its educational material. The remote location of the Phuktal Monastery leaves you with nothing but all the peace and solitude you can ask from Mother Nature. Although monks do never ask money for your stay, do not leave the place without payment. Tourists can make necessary arrangements for stay at the monastery, and with it they can contribute to the monastic community. Anyone can stay in a monastery, regardless of religion. Tomorrow, as I said, I will return to the village of Char, but today I will take a walk on the paths above the monastery. See you there.